Christopher is going to show us how to style the long game Ellowyne Wilde's hair.
God, she's pretty. I do love this doll, you guys. She's so pretty. It's short and cropped, but it's not necessarily limited because of that. And you can sort of hold the hair in the joint and pull away from the hair as you trim. Hair will tell you the destination. You just have to listen to it. That's a little bit of nice, clean, crisp, sleek, laid down hair.
Hi, welcome to our channel. So in this video, we are going to hop on over to the beauty department where Christopher is going to show us how to style the long game Ellowyne Wilde's hair. So she comes with a really fun cropped wig that has lots of layers, and a couple of our wonderful friends out there wrote in and asked if we could show how he styled it for her beautiful photos that you have seen on the internet. Now, this doll is already for sale. She is in the Ellowyne boutique. We are filming this before she actually launches, so I don't know how many are in there right now at this point. Fingers crossed a lot of them have sold to all of our wonderful friends out there. But in this video, no matter what kind of Ellowyne Wilde you have or what kind of doll hair that you have or wig, you're gonna love some of the styling tips. So let's hop on over and see how it goes. Hi, Christopher.
Hello, hello.
Your hair looks fabulous. I told you that this morning, but it looks so good.
Thanks. Sometimes I wash it. So today there have been apparently a couple requests about just how to maybe achieve something that's slightly more sleek without compromising volume for the new long game Ellowyne Wilde. So this doll comes with actually quite flat hair, but Robert's initial vision sounded like it was more bouffant and almost sort of very full, very voluminous. And I wanted to try to find a middle ground if I could that sort of satiated the itch for him, but also photographed nicely, because something that full and that sort of big, just when you have lots of stray hairs, as far as all photography is concerned, is like not great. So I'm going to be opening a brand new long game, and actually I've just displayed our summer shopping purse sort of flippantly there, but I don't know, it's kind of cute. Anyway, she does not come with that. I want to show you maybe ways that you can play with and tailor and alter some hair without doing anything really intensive or especially crazy.
That's one thing that we like to do too, is we don't want to do anything especially crazy in our product photos, because we really want the doll to shine her best, but to look like she does, like how you're going to receive her.
Right.
We don't ever want to do the hair in a way that's like when you get her, it doesn't look the same.
Exactly. I say all the time that like I don't want to do the like cheeseburger menu thing when you go into like a fast food joint and you are ordering something and then it's completely different when you actually get the thing. So hopefully this is a little bit of both. Fresh out of box. God, she's pretty. I do love this doll, you guys. She's so pretty. And consistently, like all of the ones that I've opened are painted very carefully. Just very nice. So I'm going to get her out and prepared, and we can show you sort of different ways to maybe play with, if you wanted to like recreate, you know, a variation of something that I did for the product listing photos, then like you can do that. I think it would be fun to use this as an opportunity to show you that like you can do anything you want to with doll stuff, with doll styling, with doll clothing, with doll hair, whatever. And like, if you're the sort of person that like wants to keep her immaculate in a box and like not worry about it and like she's a collector piece, then mazel and more power to you. If you want to like get her out and have this be sort of a doll that you use and play with and whatever, like this is a great opportunity, I think, to show you this is a very versatile wig. It's short and cropped, but it's not necessarily limited because of that. I sometimes think that like longer hair can almost be more limiting. You can style it and braid it and whatever, but like you are sort of kept with one silhouette, where this actually is tiered and layered and chopped in a way where you can get spit curls and sideburns and a ducktail and bangs and slicked back and pulled forward and whatever. This is very, very fun. Also, I love the color. Like the color is just very pretty. So you can see that it's a little, you know, she's made a long trek to get here, and sometimes the traveling journey is not always gracious on hairdos. I understand. Listen, I look like a bird's nest when I travel. So we're gonna get her stripped down just a little bit, only because I don't need the obstacle course of all of her garments on for this sake. I think I'll probably get her down to the sort of beautiful Edwardian leotard that we've got as a base layer. And also, conveniently, the hair is dark and the sort of blouse leotard is white. So as I'm sort of combing and brushing and whatever, any sort of flyaways or trimmings will be very obvious, and I can just sort of brush those away. I have got a smattering of tools that you may or may not find necessary or useful. If you are averse, for whatever reason, to like really going ham with this on the doll, then great, like it's wigged, so you can remove this, and if you want to, you can have a mannequin that you may have sitting around at home. You can also probably use like a little baseball that you don't care about. You can puncture that with a little...
You can use foam balls too. Like,
totally. If you had like a floral foam globe that you could stab onto a stick and then you can use that, then great. That'd be a wonderful, probably not super permanent solution just because it's foam, but that would be even probably the right scale for something like this. Anyway, I find that for like stability, mobility reasons, sometimes it's helpful to have a different tool than the doll itself to like be doing this on. This also is not super intensive. I think I'm setting this up in a very severe way. This is very sort of baseline square one styling. I may just go through this dry first and just sort of get a good feel for where the sort of tracks are. It's not a rooting pattern, but you know what I mean. And sort of seeing how it lays in different directions. Per usual with any new doll, any new piece of fur, any new wig, you're gonna get a little bit of sprinkles, you know? There's gonna be a little bit of pieces that are just sort of free from production, from manufacturing, that you'll see sort of fall around. But that's okay, very normal. I just wanna sort of see where excess long pieces are and either utilizing those and capitalizing on them, taking advantage of that stuff, or recognizing where maybe there's slightly more than I need and I can actually trim that if I feel so empowered to do. And like on this particular wig, that sideburn just happens to be longer than this one. So I may actually trim that just a little bit, although it is very cute. Do as you see fit. I do really like what's happening here with the bangs sort of sweeping out. That's really pretty, and that's each, I've opened a couple of these, and each one is just slightly different from the next. It's a very specific haircut, so I think you're gonna get something that is a little bit varied with each doll, but I do really enjoy what's happening with this sort of outswept, slightly off-center, although I think that's me, part and bang piece coming through. That's really nice. So maybe this is sort of the preliminary stages of shaping, is seeing like what you actually have to work with and take advantage of versus like things that might be in your way, and encouraging you to get them out of your way. I think it's perfectly okay to trim a strand or two. In fact, I would even, I don't know, I think that's almost necessary because they just, you know, sometimes you need a little love, right? So kind of just looking at any stray loose hairs, too long of hairs, what have you. I'm gonna put her in a stand, see if I can get a little bit of stability from this. And then all I wanna do is take my teeny tiny sort of silly baby scissors. This just gives me a lot more control for hair at this scale than like even like a sort of children's pair of scissors would. I think this is going to be a little bit more helpful, and the blades are just smaller. They can sort of get in and stab easier in a way that, what's it called? Children's scissors are just sort of, they're bulkier, and they're also maybe not quite as sharp. So if you can find a cute little tiny pair of, you know, thread sewing sort of tools, scissors, whatever, I would recommend it. I don't mind that at all. I think that's really nice. I think all of that is really cohesive. Before I completely commit to cutting that, I just want to see how everything else lays. Based on where this piece is rooted, I actually am going to probably just get rid of that. I think a lot of this is going to be really boring, so I hope that there's valuable nuggets in this video. This truly is going to be me just fiddling, so if you find value in fiddling, then I am so happy for you, and I hope you enjoy this. Yeah, you're not really sitting cohesively with anything else. The rest of these pieces are, yeah, I'm just going to get rid of you. So you can sort of take, if you want to get less of a blunt line and something that's a slightly more, I don't know, a slightly softer cut, this is like not a, you know, insider trick, but taking the sort of at the very base of the joint of the scissors rather than maybe in the middle or at the tip of the blade, you'll get some really good tension at the joint, and you can sort of hold the hair in the joint and pull away from the hair as you trim, and you'll get something that's just a little bit more feathered as you cut. I am not a hairstylist, I'm not a designer, I'm not educated in those things. However, I think if you want some very basic tips and tricks for, I don't know, basic hair scissor shear usage, I would recommend something like that. Just keeping a little bit of tension right on those joints. I hope that makes sense. Do you think that makes sense?
Yeah.
So far, I really like what's happening here. And this actually is meant to be a center part. I just sort of plopped it on asymmetrically, but I think that's very cute. And you know what this particular wig now reminds me of? What is her name in Santa Claus is Coming to Town? The stop motion. She's the one that like, she's that beautiful woman that like didn't get a doll as a child and is like so shaken by being gifted one by Kris Kringle. She's so pretty. She has got a musical number that is so gorgeous, incredibly 70s, and very, very sort of psychedelic 70s number. That's gonna bug me all day. I'm gonna have to look up what her name is. That was like a formative moment in my childhood, was like a young beautiful redhead woman lamenting about dolls. I was like, I get it. I understand her. I couldn't help myself. I had to find out who this was. Her name very simply is Jessica. I think that's sort of a silly choice for a name for her, and I don't actually know why this is where that took me, but it reminds me of Jessica. There's a point in this movie where she, in the musical number, she like lets her hair down and is like twirling by a fountain, and it's so beautiful. But that sort of like almost slicked down against the face silhouette, that actually is sort of what inspired, now that I think about it in hindsight, that was also sort of where I went with this. But she's got these really beautiful sort of spit curls, almost sideburns that peel in, and I think that's also, it's very Jessica. It's very Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Yeah, I think that's cute. So all of the layers will give you fluff and fullness in the back, but I do think something a little bit more precise and maybe clean toward the front of the face is really nice. You can see I got a bunch of little like stray hairs that actually are not like a big deal, but I do think with something like doll photography can be a bit more of a nuisance. Now I am not a lefty, so that's not going to work very well, but this teasing comb is like my holy grail. I use this all the time for everything. I use this all the time. Thank you, Dolls Part. You have like changed my life. Just sort of trimming. And I think when you've got small little hairs like that, like sometimes fingers are just too big to give you something easy to work with. This little teeny tiny needle can be really, really effective. So I don't know. I think I want to utilize this length. I think, and there are tiers of that throughout. I think what I want to do is sort of keep that length. I just don't know if I can use that. And it's not placed in the skull cap in a way that makes sense really to go behind. I mean, I guess I could, but I want that density on this side. And this, it could go either way. I realize now that they meant to cut it for this section, but I don't know. I think it's higher up enough in the wig that I'm making modifications. Everybody buckle up. Are you having fun yet? I hope this isn't dull.
It is fun.
So I actually probably should be doing this from the underside for layering's sake, but you know what? I'm not a hairstylist. I'm not a designer. I don't know what I'm doing. Don't judge me, as I'm literally putting this on the internet for you to judge and learn from. We're gonna do this. Just a little snip. And that can probably even still go, oh, I love that. That can probably still go back just a little bit more. I don't mind that at all. I think that's so cute. I might, again, that needs just a little bit of length taken off, but I think that is so cute. What I have done in the past a couple times is actually made a like hairstylist smock for all of the trimmings to be caught on, but that's usually when I'm trying to photograph a doll and I don't have time to like undress her and redress her and whatever. That's just sort of like a utilitarian thing. But for this, I can just take a like loose, I usually keep like a fluffy paintbrush, although this is not a really great option. And this is one thing you can just use to sort of sweep away what you don't need. Now, be mindful of whatever your brush choice is, that the brush itself does also not shed, because you'll only sort of sweep away old hairs and then replace them with new hairs from the brush, and that's doing no good. But this one's actually working out better than I expected it to, so A+, keep a brush nearby. I'm gonna do some trimming on the back here, and then we can start getting into a little bit more specifics for actually like laying hairs down and, you know, wet styling, dry styling, etc. Okay, I think I can live with that. If there's a couple squirrely ones, then I can get those out of my way. There will always be a couple hairs that, although are shaped to sit in a curl pattern, are maybe just like a little bit out of place because of maybe where they are in the wig or whatever. Sometimes you just get a weird one. I liberate you. You can cut the hair, okay? Cut the hair. All right, now what I don't want is this density, but to sort of show off more of that track than I need to. I want to see what pulling a little bit of this back does, and then fluffing as I go. So let's try first just playing with dry styling. This is not full of product. It's got a little bit of the like brand new wig. I don't want to say grease because it's not like, there's almost like a film on every brand new doll, every brand new wig, that is just keeping hair sleek. It's almost like a styling cream, like a very light hold that every new wig has. So this doesn't need to be washed, and it doesn't need to be, you know, hard styled at all. It's got some natural sort of sheen to it because of that treatment. And I want to sort of see about just taking advantage of that first before I try to do anything really crazy. But look at that cute little curl we've got going on. That's what I'm talking about. Each wig is a little bit different. Find the way that your particular one wants to sit. I like that sort of pulled forward face framing little almost like heart shape that's creating. I think that's very cute. And I like the almost sort of the mobility that just sort of stabbing will get me, because I don't want to slick that hair back, and I also don't want to disrupt the shape that I'm making here. A lot of the root of these hairs sits back here, and so if I were to just brush, I would take a lot of that with me, which I'm trying to avoid. But to keep shape and pull some of that back over those tracks, the sort of like light tapping and stabbing seems to be actually very effective. And that will be perhaps more so as the hair is dry. You may lose a little bit of that quality when it's set down and wet. I think that's so cute. Somebody described this as, oh, what is her, I am blanking on everybody today, a Sharon Osbourne, which I think is so endearing. I think that's very funny, and I totally see the resemblance. And she's an icon. I think that is, I think that's very cute. So it is a little bit Sharon Osbourne and I Live. I think that's great. Love. Oh, that's great. Okay, so some of those layers will sit sort of nice and choppy and piecey at the back and still give you, that is so cute. This is a good one. Still give you the precision around the face that I want. Very cute. So that's like very, I mean, you could truly stop here if you wanted to. This is not a science. This is all very subjective and all about personal taste and exercising a discerning eye. That I think is so cute. I think that's so cute. If you wanted to stop here, then congratulations. This is really very, very minor sort of styling. And I think what you'll get by doing something more wet is the appearance of a more like maybe shiny, sleek texture. Of course, you'll get a little bit more definition and ability to lay down flyaways more specifically and keep those in place. But if you wanted to stop here, I think that is very, very good. I love that. However, I want to show you how I achieved that texture a little bit more. So we'll play with both. One of the things that I reach for all the time, actually I should have a bottle here, but it's the Heads Up Twin Pines Detangler specifically. It is wonderful. And it's not, actually I talked at length about this during the Grace styling video. So if you've seen that, it's the same product. If you haven't, you should genuinely go watch that too, because that's going to be a lot of the same technique that I'm doing for this. I'm not doing a roller set, and that was sort of the focus of that video, but a lot of what I think made that successful was that product. I live and breathe this stuff. So I do dilute it into water, let's say maybe 10%, 20 generously. I don't need a lot of it. The ratio of product to water is about, I don't know, 10% of the water. And again, this thing changes my life. Sometimes if you were to just like mist your finger and try to sweep that over a single flyaway or a group of several, you're probably, I don't know. I don't know the science behind why, but I do know that your finger will just sort of stick to the hair rather than keeping the hair down in place where you want it to. But metal seems to be very effective, and this being small and precise and clean and stabby also allows me to sort of comb and stick hair where I want it to without the hair being stuck to the needle of this or anything else. I hope that makes sense, and I want to show you what I mean. So You can mist the hair directly. I would avoid doing that unless you really need a lot of it, or if you don't mind it getting everywhere, right? If you had a smock on her and the face covered, I'd say go for it. Alternatively, you can use a mannequin, softball, you can use a floral foam, whatever. I think misting the hair directly, even if you were to have like, if you do it slowly, you might get like a little bit, and that's slightly more precise. I still think that's not quite precise enough for me. So what I find myself doing is actually misting the wand of the comb until I get a couple droplets. Like, I want to actually be able to see at the tip of that needle, I want to see a droplet of water, because that's actually what I'm using to keep hair down in place. When I tell you guys that it takes ages to get like every hair where you want it to for photography, I'm not kidding. It's a whole thing. But you can use that just to keep down one bit of bang, one bit of hair. Of course, I wouldn't begin with this step. This is sort of the fine-tuning step to mist the needle. I would first do this. The reason why I'm not gonna go back through and mist and brush the whole wig is because I actually sort of have the hair where I want it. I've done that step dry. I could go back and do it wet. Maybe I can get just a little bit. I would recommend a wire toothbrush. I would avoid plastic only because it tends to tug more on synthetic fiber hairs. It doesn't do very well, but also it just, I don't like them. I don't think they work nearly as well. You can get something that's much more effective with a wire. You're not going to get like static electricity and all of that. All I want to do is just sort of lightly brush through the very surface of the hair, and then I can sort of go back and fluff for volume if I want to. I will mist whatever tool I'm using just about, I don't know, every third sweep through the hair. I want it to stay consistently damp but not saturated. All of those little sort of prickly loose hairs, you can get a lot of those down with just this, but you may also want to sort of trim them. So what I can do is take the needle with just a little bit of that product on it and go down over the places that I've brushed. The brush will help in assisting the hairs to sit parallel to each other and being smoother, but you're not necessarily going to get rid of all those little prickly ones. This step will assist with that part. If you were to not brush it, then you're fighting yourself by having flyaways underneath whatever surface layer of hair you're trying to smooth. You still want your base to be like somewhat cohesive. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. And then this part is just, again, I'm just gonna be sort of fiddling because I wanna see where, once I get the surface of the hair just a little bit wet, where pieces begin to sort of naturally conglomerate together. I like a piecey appearance, and that I think is usually most successful when you have something that's more voluminous at the root and then denser or more precise, more spiky at the end of the hair. Also, with this particular product, I try to give it like one good shake every couple of mists, because I know that although it doesn't take that little time to separate, it will separate, and I just want to keep it sort of mixed. This will also help me to distinguish what is loose versus what's still connected. I love the needle of this comb. It is so helpful. So applying a little bit of tension to the ends of the hair, because I don't want this to shift, but I am able to sort of pull and manipulate the hair at the root where I want it to be to create more of a uniform shape. For something like those little teeny tiny hairs that are meant to be chopped around the ear, this comb will help me sort of pinch and put those behind, where something like a finger would be too clumsy. So I don't want this to be sort of, I like the shape this is making, but I don't want it to be quite so flat for dimension. So I'm going to sort of pierce a hole into that sort of bang piece, just to give me a little bit more of something that looks like less of a wall of hair. And then sort of reinforcing that shape on the top of that with some water. With some stuff. So although this is tedious, and it is, I hope that this is, if nothing else, enlightening to my process and answers some questions about like, what are the ways that you could style this if you want to? And you'll also see that like sometimes wetting a hair down for styling is effective until that particular strand of hair dries again, and it may continue to give you trouble. The sort of prickly end of it may continue to be stubborn until you inevitably have to trim it, wherein I would say like just, it's okay, just cut the hair. Maybe I'm too liberal with that advice. I would say you're better off just trimming it. It's okay to trim the hair. And if you wanted to like full weird Barbie your Ellowyne, who am I to stop you? Am I gonna encourage that? Probably not. But I think this is your doll. You're at liberty to do what you want to.
Yeah, and we don't say that they come, the hair is not perfect out of box. The hair is sometimes just a mess and needs some flyaways trimmed, and it needs a little help.
Yeah.
That's every doll. I don't know if I've ever gotten a doll that was just like
right.
completely perfect.
Right. Well, and even like, let's say that you were to get something, any doll, secondhand from eBay.
Right.
Somebody else has probably already done something from that, for that doll and for that hair or whatever. And just simply by being in transit is going to need some love and care, you know? Now, this is sort of up to you to decide just how much you care about or want to fuss with the back of the head. If this, again, is for photography's sake and you know you're going to be photographing the back of it, then like, of course, I would be thorough and do the whole thing. Also, just for like doing it right, for continuity's sake, I would rather be thorough, although it isn't always necessary, especially for something dry, right? With this, I just want to get something a little bit piecey that feels layered, not quite a feathered ducktail, but something close. And it's not quite hair sculpting, because I think that would be generous to say, but it is very sort of specific manipulation of pieces that you want to be laying in a certain way. I have no interest in like hoarding this information. I think there are lots of doll artists and doll people that I understand why it's necessary. If you've like made your life, you're living on like doing doll art and creating and altering or whatever, like I totally understand trying to be more perhaps secretive about your tips and tricks. I would rather just like share this information. I don't think I'm doing anything revolutionary or particularly groundbreaking. I don't know, it also takes, like, if you feel stumped by the idea of like, well, I don't see a destination in mind, I don't have a foresight for a vision, like, I would encourage you to exercise that curiosity first before trying to just like emulate whatever it is you see someone do on the internet. I hope that this is like a useful tool for you. I love that. I love where that's going. I've said it before and it's true. I think like something like hair will tell you what it wants. Hair will tell you the destination. You just have to listen to it. Was that too like gay and woo-woo to be like, listen to the wig. The wig will tell you. God, I think that's so cute. It's very 70s Jessica. Santa Claus. I think that's so cute. Now, you can manipulate the back sort of tiers a little bit more. You can sort of pull up and out. Like once, I'm not totally done, but once I am, I can sort of go back through here just with the needle of the comb and give me a little bit more volume just at the very back. I'm not super concerned with the surface appearance of the back right now because I'm not like photographing that. I'm not trying to get like a detailed shot, but you can sort of get just a little bit more oomph at the back by pulling at the root.
It looks so good.
I think that's so cute.
Yeah, honestly, like I don't know what more you're gonna do, but maybe for demonstration purposes, but for display,
yeah,
fab.
I find I'm satisfied with this. I am gonna get this to be just a little bit smoother, a little bit cleaner. Maybe I'll go back through with a comb, see if I can adjust her head without moving the hair too much. That's always like.
We're just gonna take a moment to thank Paul for all of his shipping and all that he's doing, getting our packages out. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul. So I just misted that just a little bit, using my finger as a brace just to give that a little bit of direction, and then I can go back through and sort of stab and decide where I want some of that stuff. I'm hoping to use this little bit to reinforce this curl at the bottom. I want them to sort of fade into each other so you get more of a tapered curl rather than something that feels like chunky. Like if I can achieve that, I'll be satisfied. That would be really fun. That might require a little bit stronger of a product, but like I think that sweeping back and sitting flush against the nape is so pretty. And also I like the way that sort of gently feathers together. Yeah, I would say like if you've purchased this doll, or if, again, this is sort of happening preemptively, if after the fact she's already sold out, then I apologize. But if you're on the fence about getting this doll, and you're someone that really identifies with the experience of like getting them out and playing with them and touching them and enjoying them, I think this is a really great doll for that specifically. I mean, she's a beautiful display piece, but maybe this is your first Ellowyne and you're like on the fence about it. I think this is a perfect introductory, like playline, fun, get into it, get your fingers dirty sort of doll. I am biased because I love the face. The face is so pretty. I would buy her just for that. But I think wig sake and outfit sake, it's very user-friendly baseline. She's got layers of clothes, she's got sneakers, and like very versatile tiered layered hair that is just like fun to work with and very satisfactory in the sense that like you can brush out like a long wig till the cows come home and it's never really gonna change shape or texture or color, but every movement with this really changes the silhouette. Like I find that very satisfying and very fun. It's a tactile sort of experience. So consider that if you haven't already bought her and she's still available. That's my pitch, is I think she's very play friendly. She is the like believe in the power of play sort of doll for sure. So I like what's happening with shape here, but I want to sort of get that to be a little bit more uniform. Yes, again, you could mist the head. I just feel like I lose a lot of control using something that has that sort of large misting surface area. Of course, I could get like a smaller mister, but I don't want like a needle of product either. I want something that gives me, I've found my solution, okay? I know it's goofy, hear me out. It works really well. And I've yet to find any sort of doll, anything that is not a little bit tedious, a little bit finagly. I would maybe even argue that like that's part of the beauty of like doing doll things and collecting doll stuff, is like it requires a certain patience from you that is actually very cathartic to exercise. I don't know about you, but like I feel so assaulted by the headspace that I no longer have due to the presence of my life, you know, using social media and using something even just like notifications on my phone for like news updates. Like it's constant, right? Like I feel like my phone is like growing out of my hand, and having a unplug from that and a way to exercise that through dolls is actually like very effective. This requires you to be very present and very patient with yourself and a little bit innovative with solutions to sort of practice like, well, the thing that I just did that I thought would do something specific did not actually work, and now I need to like try something else. It's very trial and error, and I think it's very personally satisfying to like learn, I don't know, doll crafting, doll styling, doll play. I can also tell that I'm becoming more and more of a little old lady by the day, because like now I have to peer over my glasses and sometimes they're just in the way. Like sometimes I am blind, like my vision is not good, but this actually, like, peering over my glasses can be more of a strain than just taking them off. Maybe that feels obvious, but this makes me feel old. I'm the ripe age of 27 now, and like my glasses are too much for me. Awful. I love all those sort of natural waves that are coming out now. That's very fun. See if I can do that without disrupting everything. Cool, love that. See, I love the needle, you guys. Go get a teasing comb. I swear this is not sponsored by Doll's Part, but like they know what they're doing. Well, I think there you have it. So that's a little bit of nice, clean, crisp, sleek, laid down hair. It's not completely, you know, no hair out of place, but it's pretty close. And also, I mean, even if it's just for display, I think that's very satisfactory. So sort of from start to finish, again, each wig will sort of sit a little bit differently. No one of them is going to be exactly the same, and it does lend itself really nicely to sort of PC bangs that fall just into the eye line. But if you want something a little bit more real vintagey, I think that's very, very fun. And hopefully you took away something that like, even if maybe you're just like watching, you just stumbled upon this and like you don't know who Ellowyne is and you don't care. I hope that you can like take something away from this and enjoy a little bit of, I don't know, some fun. Anyway, ramble, thank you for joining, and go check out dollspart.com because they have just about everything you could possibly need.
Yeah, we'll put a link in there, and for these products which we have been buying for years. And so thank you very much, Christopher. So these dolls have already been launched. They are in the Ellowyne boutique. And if they have not sold out, then they are in there, so you can snag one. And then behind are the summer shopping outfits, which are also there.
Heck yeah.
And then, you have not even taken the photos yet, but Christopher is going to be styling and getting these 4 wigs photographed today.
Wigs are coming.
At this point in the future, they are listed in Ellowyne Boutique.
We've got lots of fun new wigs for you and re-releases of some of your favorites. So be sure to not miss out on those. And inevitably, there will probably be more hairstyling tip videos in the future. So until then, thank you.
Yeah, put in the comments if you have some ideas so we can put it onto our schedule for the future. Thank you very much, Christopher.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.